Please, ma'am, stand up, please. Okay.
Thank you, my lady, for the indulgence. The last exhibit number was L, so the statement should be marked in, with your leave, as exhibit M. And for the interpreter's benefit, copy.
This has been marked Exhibit M.
Madam, I'm going to take you to paragraph.
Lady, I'm sure if we deal with the statement, the witness should have a statement in front of her.
It's not in front
I think it
of-
was sent to for the benefit of the interpreter.
I think both the interpreter and the witness ought to have a statement.
Yeah, if they can both have a look at it, then I don't have a problem.
I thought she was working through the interpreter that one or two statements is the same. Thank you, ma'am. I want you to look at paragraph 6. It says that your husband went to the balcony again. You see that?
Yes, my lady, I see that.
Ek hoor die vrou gil.
I heard the woman scream.
You see that?
Yes, my lady, I see that.
What we don't see, like we go to your previous parts in your statement, we don't see the plural, gille. We don't see blood curdling. We don't see a build-up in anxiety. It is a plain, ek hoor die vrou gil, meaning I hear her scream. That's all. Do you agree?
My lady, with that, it implies I heard her shout. I heard her screaming. I heard her scream.
Yes.
I didn't say I heard one scream. I said I heard her scream.
Yes. Gil is a scream. Gille, the plural, screams. Doesn't matter. That's not the point that I'm making. Where is this? You now there sitting with Captain van Aert.
I actually object, my lady, and I was contemplating not. What counsel put to the witness, it's semantics, but it's not right. It's impossible to say in Afrikaans, ek hoor die vrou gille.
Ja, dankie.
It's impossible to do. Ek hoor die vrou gil means plural or singular.
Ja.
But you can't say ek hoor die vrou gille. That cannot be, and that was what was put.
Lady, that's not the point that I'm driving to. Can I make the point?
Yes.
That was now, you've got a doctorate, it's not immediately after the incident, you sit with a very experienced investigating officer, and the very least, I would have expected to say, Captain van Aert, let me tell you, this time around, it was blood curdling, it was the anxiety, there was a build-up of anxiety. It's not there. All it says, ek hoor die vrou gil. You agree?
I'm explaining to the lady. I'm explaining to the court today what are the emotions that I heard. The facts I gave here in this testimony of mine.
But if you had given the emotions to Captain van Aert, he would have reduced that to writing and he would have put it in outside.
Lady,
You're
I'm
sitting here.
Lady, I'm sure Captain van Aert, if he gets to testify, will be able to testify my emotions that evening, and that it was emotional for me what I heard.
It's not about your emotions. It's about what you're telling him. That's what I'm driving to. It is what you told him at the time and what you did not tell him. And that's why I keep on saying his experience, and we know him. He would write down what you're telling him. What you did not tell him, it was this far more serious, far more anxious, blood-curdling screams. That patently, when you made your statement 1 month after the event, you did not tell him that.
Milady, the statement is written over here as I heard it. I did say to Captain van Aert when we started speaking that evening about the emotion in her voices and the blood-curdling fear I heard in her voices, he'll be able to testify that I said it.
Yes.
We spoke about it before we did this.
Yes, I can take you to paragraph 3. We can go there. Where you say it was an angsel. You put that in. That's paragraph 3.
Was dat angst?
Where exactly are you?
I apologize, my lady. Away from paragraph 6, which it says you put in emotions. If I took it to paragraph 3 of a statement,
Yes.
which says, gedurende die nag het ek wakker geword. I woke up with a woman that was screaming, and that was, she used the word angst, that anxiety, that fear. That's where you put it. It's there. So he wrote it down. Now, we can just debate this. It's as easy as that. What I put to you, if you had told in paragraph 6 before the shooting, Captain van Aert, that this was not only screaming, it was something more. It was that now increasing anxiety. He would have put it in, not so.
Milady, maybe when we wrote down this testimony, I didn't put that word right before I said gilla, which means screams. But I did note to Captain van Aert the emotion in the voice of that woman when we had our discussion before we did the testimony. In the testimony, I wanted to portray the shouts, the anxiety, and the shots.
It's far more than that. The anxiety was dramatic. It makes you cold. The anxiety in her voice was blood-curdling. Nothing stopped you at the time from telling Captain van Aert.
Milady, Captain van Aert will be able to testify when we had our discussion. I did say to him, it was terrible. It was blood-curdling.
Yes. Now let's go to the second part of that statement. We read it. I heard the woman scream, and then, and two,
Hoe is dit nou?
and then 4 shots.
O, terug gaan.
So this is Captain van Aert again. He didn't write down what you were telling me. Is that what you say?
No, milady, when we did the statement, I did say I heard her shouting, and moments after that I heard the shots and her shouting.
Was that the truth?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Was that the truth?
I spoke the truth to Captain van Aert.
Yes. Why did you not do it in court?
I did speak the truth in court
Did
as
you
well.
not say that during the shooting she was screaming?
I said so just now, milady. I emphatically stated that the shots started. I heard her voice. I could not state when with those shots did I hear exactly her voice. Was it with 1, 2, 3 and 4 or when exactly? But I said just moments after the last shot was the last I heard her voice. It wasn't long after. It was just after that.
Madam, just read your own statement, please, and tell me what it says. It says, I heard the woman scream, and then 4 shots. Do you see that?
Yes, milady, I see that.
What does that mean? Just that what you're saying there. What does that mean?
It means when I speak about the shots, there were 4 shots. Later in the paragraph, I speak about the screaming again.
You know what I'm talking about. We can spend time on it. I'm talking during the shots.
I've checked. The witness answered. She said, later in the paragraph, I spoke about this again. So she answered the question. She answered the question and said, later in the paragraph, I spoke about it again. That should be taken up.
Yes, Mr. Roux.
Yes, my lady. Can you show me later in the paragraph where you said that during the firing of the shots at that time she was screaming? Please show me that.
After I stated there were 4 shots.
Which paragraph is that?
It's
Still
paragraph
paragraph
6.
6.
Thank you.
The lady. Then after I spoke about the shots, I said the lady shouted the last time approximately 2 seconds after the last shot. And after that I didn't hear anything again.
Read that properly, please.
I said the woman gave the last screaming approximately 2 seconds after the shot stopped.
Yes, after the shot stopped, she gave a last scream.
That's the last time I heard her.
Yes. Show me where during the firing of the shots she was screaming, please.
I didn't say she only shouted after the last shot. I said the last time I heard her, the last time was after the last shot. And I'm now stating to the court exactly that while the shot started, I heard her. There were 4 shots. I heard her. I can't state exactly with which one of the 4 shots, but the last time I heard her was shortly after the last shot.
We're dealing with a different question. In your evidence today, you said that during the firing of the shots, she was screaming. You remember that?
I heard her voice, yes.
She was screaming. Now show me in this paragraph. Here you're quite clear. She screamed and then 4 shots, and then you say after the last shot, about 2 seconds after the last shot, she screamed. Sy gee 'n gil. She's after the last shot.
Lady, the last time I heard her was shortly after the last shot.
Yes.
My lady, I have to object, but I'm willing for the witness to leave the court so that I don't put words in her mouth.
Yes.
And I think it's perhaps fair, and I'll be that fair, but I want to discuss this paragraph and what was said.
Please leave the court for a while. Call you when you're ready for it.
My lady, my objection is this. We're tasking the witness on a contradiction which is not in this paragraph. If one reads this paragraph, it says, I heard the woman scream, then shots. The last time she screamed was after the shots.
Then if that is the meaning of the paragraph, I'd rather have that paragraph on record in Afrikaans.
Indeed.
If that's how it reads. Yes.
That paragraph should be, because that's how I interpret it in Afrikaans. And it reads, my lady, my man is weer uit na die balkon. Then it says, ek hoor die vrou gil. En toe 4 skote. Then she describes the shots. Daar was 'n pose van ongeveer 2 sekondes vanaf die eerste skoot na die tweede skoot, en toe die skote direk na mekaar gevolg. She described the shots. Die vrou het die laaste gil gegee. I heard her scream. The last scream was 2 seconds nadat die skote opgehou. So there's a continuation, but we're putting this to the witness as a contradiction. And it's not a clear-cut contradiction. We have to be fair to the witness with the utmost respect. There's a continuation between the scream, I heard a woman scream, then shots, and just as statements go, I explained the shots, but the last scream was after the shot stopped. There's no indication that's a new scream. So, my lady, I understand what Mr. Roux is doing, but we should just be fair to the witness.
So what you are saying there's an implication, it's implied that there were shots fired during,
Yes.
I mean the screams.
Yes, it's a scream.
Yes.
Explain the shots in the last scream. By implication, that's my interpretation.
Or you're saying that doesn't mean that there were no screams.
Exactly. Or let me rather go there, my lady, and I think that's perhaps more fair as counsel to say. That doesn't mean that there were no shots. And I'll leave it with that, and I think that's fair, my lady.
Yes.
I cannot say that how I interpret it, but the way the court summarized it is my version.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Roux?
We don't need to give interpretations.
We know it's not there.
It's
is not
there,
in
my
there.
lady. All that
Yes.
should have been there, and that's the
Yes.
only point I'm making.
Yes.
All that should have been there. During the firing of the shots,
Yes.
I heard her screaming.
Yes.
That's the only point I'm making.
Yes.
It's not there.
No,
That
I
was
understand you.
evidence.
What I'm thinking now, maybe it's something for argument.
Yes, my lady, but I
Yes.
wanted to put it to her that it's not there because
Okay.
that I need that on record.
All right. Thank you. Yes,
Can we call her back, my lady?
yes, the witness may come then. Thank you. You're still under oath? Yes. Thank you very much. Yes, Mr. Roux?
What was also interesting, madam, is that during your evidence in chief, you did not make mention of any yell, any scream after the boom, 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 boom. Why is that?
Sorry, my lady, did you say, what was the beginning of your question? I couldn't hear you.
Let me explain to you what it means. When Mr. Nell presented your evidence and you testified, one thing you did not do, you referred to the boom, 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 boom and whatever intervals or whatever sequence, but after that you made no mention of the woman screaming. No mention.
My lady, I think Advocate Nell asked me what happened after that, and then I explained when my husband came back. So if I did not mention it then, I would like to mention it now.
Did you forget it at the time?
No, I did not forget what happened. It's clear to me.
Now, I was curious when I asked you on 2 occasions, could there have been shots fired before you woke up? And you were absolutely to the point saying no. How come you said no? You were sleeping.
My lady, I just know of 4 shots that took place that evening, and I heard those 4 shots. So if there were other shots before I woke up, I don't know about it, and I don't think it was presented to court that there were more than 4 shots that evening.
So you say, with your ex post facto knowledge, what you heard afterwards, there were only 4 shots.
I heard 4 shots.
You say afterwards, you were told that only 4 shots were fired, and you heard 4.
My lady, what I'm referring to is during the pre-trial on the radio also, the defense stated they also say there were 4 shots. I heard 4 shots. No one else mentioned that there were 8 shots or 10 shots that evening. I only heard people speaking about 4. I heard 4 shots. So I couldn't have heard other shots before I woke up because I only heard 4 shots. And that I heard after the call I made. So there couldn't have been other shots. That's all I heard. I can only state what I heard to the court. I heard 4 shots.
Let's look, and I can't say they're telling the truth. Mr. Nell must call them, and we will call witnesses just to test it. Because the police in its investigation managed to get a number of statements from people in the neighborhood, in that same estate, and then of course your statement as well. And to test the reliability of your evidence, and again, you know, they may be all lying. Captain van Aert may have manipulated his statements, I don't know. So I can't stand in for the truth of that. But let's go through it, and I would like to invite your comment to it. There's a witness, Mr. Stipp. He's a radiologist. He says in his statement, and I'm just dealing now with shots and could be interpreted as shots. That's where I'm going. But what I'm going to do before I deal with that, and I know you don't believe him because you said his statement that the boat could not be, but hear me out for a second, without being judgmental. Just hear me out. His version is the following. He fired 4 shots. At some point in time, when he realized that it might have been Reba, and when he realized the devastation caused by it, he was screaming for help, and he was screaming. He opened the doors, even the slide doors, to scream. And after that, not all the details, trying to kick the door, first put his legs on, trying to kick the door, he bashed the door with the cricket bat so hard that he broke the door. He hit it 3 times. That he can remember, 3 times. We have experts that state, we have the pieces of the door. We have the cricket bat. We have experts saying that the damage to the door is consistent with the cricket bat. So we know that. So that is where I'm going to. And we know that, and I put it to you, it's a long sentence and I apologize for it, that on test people will say that the bashing of the door would resemble, when you hear from a distance gunshot, it's hard. Dwah! You understand? It's not soft hitting. You hit the door to break. You understand that? So with that in mind, there's Mr. Stipp, the radiologist. He may be wrong. He woke up by hearing 3 shots. Could have been 4, but we know it's 3. The man was sleeping. Then there's a time delay. He heard the man screaming, "Help, help, help." You heard that, the man screaming.
I heard the man screaming after I heard the woman screaming.
Yeah, you heard the woman screaming and then you heard the man screaming, one following the other. And he was also anxious, I assume.
The emotion in the voice was a bit different. She was fear-stricken.
But was it just a help, 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 I'm pretending help, or was it shouting for help?
I won't be able to say. I mean, that question, milady, we'll have to ask Mr. Pistorius for that.
Yes.
But what I heard was help, help, help. I heard that.
And I
Lady, I feel terrible, but I have to object. I've got Mr. Stipp's statement in front of me, and the way it was put to the witness is not true. I'm sure Mr. Roux is trying to paraphrase, but the way I read it, ek het 3 weerskote gehoor, het was kort na mekaar, ek het onmiddellik uit die bed opgestaan na die kamerbalkon gegaan, ek het onmiddellik nadat ek op die balkon gekom het, gehoor hoe 'n vrou gil. Daar was ongeveer 3 gille. There's nothing that was now put to this witness, my lady.
What was the question again?
I worked with Mr. Stipp's, I'm sorry, I worked with Mr. Stipp's explanation to a witness, Johan Stander. Let me get the other one. My mistake. He also made a statement to Mr. Stander about it. Let me correct it. I apologize. That's indeed so. Let me...
And it might also be a good idea just to say it in Afrikaans, what it says.
Yes,
and then that will be translated
it was the
into
one,
English.
yes, I will do that. For your benefit. Now, let me take you... I'm going to one aspect only, and that is the 2 noises. We know in our version, you have the shooting and you have the cricket bat.
Milady, I can only state that I heard the shooting and not the cricket bat. I heard 4 shots. My house is in Silver Stream, not Silver Woods. So I'm a distance away. I'm over 170 meters away. I don't know if that had an influence on me only hearing the shots. I didn't hear the cricket bat.
Yes. Yes.
I could have been somewhere else, wherever in my house. I only heard the shots.
No, but that's the point that I'm taking you to. After the shots, what did you do?
My lady, as I stated to the court before, after the shots, after the screams died down, I was still sitting in bed, and my husband came back from the balcony.
And then? I mean, you must have been upset.
Yes, that's when I stated to my husband that I hope that that woman didn't just witness her husband or the man being killed in front of her. Because remember, I thought it was a housebreak. Because of the fear in her voice, I wasn't doubting that they were being attacked in their house.
I assume you were awake for quite some time.
Milady, I was awake from the shouts. I was awake till after the last gunshot. I cannot say when I fell asleep. I don't know. I fell asleep somewhere. I woke up again. I fell asleep. I can't state. I went to the bathroom. I came back.
But let's try and get some time to it.
Milady, I won't be able to give time because I wasn't looking at my watch, looking afterwards when I'm falling asleep, when I'm waking up. I didn't take time.
It's not what I want to ask you. After hearing what you call the shots, you spoke to your husband.
After the shots and after the screaming died down, my husband did come back, and I spoke to my husband, and I then said to him, I hope that woman didn't just witness her husband being killed in front of her, because I said that because I only heard the male shouting help 3 times, and I never heard him again. I only heard the female.
And what did you do then? You spoke now to your husband?
Well, I lay down again in
Did you
bed.
go to the toilet then? When did
Well,
you go to the bathroom?
Sometime during the night. I can't say when I went to the loo, but I went to the loo sometime.
No.
I lay down again in my bed. I woke up, I slept, woke up.
The point I'm trying to
I didn't
make-
take note of that because remember, I never thought I was going to testify in court. I was thinking that's a housebreak. Also the next day I phoned my friend, and my colleagues knew, before we knew of Mr. Pistorius, that we thought that was a housebreak.
When you're upset, and that must have really upset you, you won't fall asleep within 10, 15 minutes. It must take at least more than that. Or would you just turn around and sleep?
Milady, my sister's baby died on Friday night. I slept. I do sleep after traumatic events.
But do you say to me, I'm trying to find out, do you say to me very shortly after the shots you fell asleep, or was it some time delay?
I did not look at my watch to say when I fell asleep.
I understand that. I'm not asking time. Would you say there was some time delay, or did you fall asleep very shortly after the shots?
Milady, when you're lying in bed at night, sometimes 5 minutes feels like an hour if you're trying to sleep. I cannot say when I fell asleep. It was probably some time afterwards. I can't say when I fell asleep.
And what you did, and I'm not talking about a long time, I'm talking 3-4 minutes, 2-3-4 minutes, I must guess. After the shots, you would still be awake?
I was awake for a short while after the shots. I don't know how long,
That
Milady,
is-
but I was awake sometime. I don't know how long. I can't confirm how long.
That is when the cricket bat was used to break down the door.
Milady, I'm not going to change any testimony. I can only say what I heard.
I'm not
I
asking
only
you-
heard the shots. I never heard any cricket bat. I can't
I'm
testify.
not asking you to change your testimony. All I say, it was not long after the shots that the cricket bat was used
Milady, I
to
never.
hit the door hard,
Milady,
really hard, that you can hear it.
Milady, I only heard the shots and the terrible screaming. I never heard the bashes or anything of that. I don't know whether it was the distance. I can't say. Maybe I went to the loo at that stage. Maybe it was a distance. Maybe I fell asleep. But I can only testify about what I heard, and what I heard was the shouts, terrible screaming, and the gunshots.
Do you know what? Mr. Pistorius is really anxious, and he screams when he pitches his voice. We'll call a witness in that respect. If I put it to you, it sounds like a woman, what would you say? That it's not true?
Milady, I don't think I've ever heard Mr. Pistorius screaming, so...
Because what I'm saying to you, let's look at it for once, just 2 minutes, objectively. And this is what I put to you. He fired shots. He was beyond himself. He was screaming after that, higher and lower. And I'm going to deal with the statements, hearing different screaming, higher and lower. And that is why you would hear what you, that time of the morning, associate with a very anxious woman screaming and also a man screaming. You heard both. All I said was the same person.
Milady, I'm 100% certain I heard two different people that evening. I heard a male voice and I heard a female voice.
Well, one thing we do know from your testimony, you did not hear them at the same time. You did not hear a female screaming and simultaneously a man shouting for help.
Milady, that's true. I heard the lady call for help, and shortly afterwards I heard the male shout help 3 times. Help, help, help.
Yeah, and that's the point that I'm making to you. It was not simultaneous, because if it's the same time, then of course you can turn around and say it cannot be because they were screaming or shouting the same time. When you heard the female voice and the male voice, it was at different times, not simultaneous.
Milady, it was shortly the one after the other, the male after the female, and I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that it was 2 different people. It did not sound remotely the same.
Yes. In your mind, I must accept. In your mind, it was not the same. In your mind, it was 2 different people. But let's look at it now. Let's try and make sense out of this. If I tell you, you were 177 meters away, what would you say about that?
Milady, that's true. That's our distance. That's true.
If I tell you that his voice, when he's really anxious, when it pitches, it sounds like a woman, can you say it's not so? Or do you simply say, I don't know?
Milady, I'm sure what I heard was a woman, so I'm quite convinced it wasn't Mr. Pistorius.
I know you believe you heard it.
Yeah.
All I say is, when he's anxious, his voice, when it pitches, it sounds like a woman screaming. And what I put to you, that's what would explain why you hear like a woman screaming and you also hear a man screaming, not only a woman.
Milady, why I'm definitely certain it was 2 different people is because I can compare the helps of the first person and the second person. And the first person was definitely a female, and the shouting was with that voice. I could hear it was her voice shouting and screaming fearfully.
Well, let's look at it. Let's look how well you could hear from that distance, because I put it to you. The hitting of the ball, the door with the cricket bat, was shortly after the shots. Not a long time, and you would have been awake still at that time. For sure you would have been awake. You did not even hear someone hitting the door so hard with a cricket bat that it breaks. You did not even hear that.
Milady, I'm sure gunshots will be louder than a cricket bat on a door.
Well, you sure, but do you know? Do you know what a gunshot would sound like compared to someone hitting a door hard with a cricket bat? Do you know what a difference in sound would be? What a difference in decibels would be? Do you know that?
Milady, I did not check that fact of the difference of decibels, but I know a gunshot really travels far. One can hear it very far.
What is your experience of gunshots?
Milady, I don't own a gun. I don't own a gun, but I've heard gunshots in the night, and I've shot before. I shot once. I went to a driving range, so
When was that?
it was a few years ago.
So you were there right at the driving range, shooting right at the sound.
I've been there before,
Yeah.
yes, once.
And apart from that occasion where you were at the driving range, what other shots did you hear? And how far were you away from the shots? And what was the caliber of the fire?
Milady, it has happened in my life that in a neighborhood where I am, I hear a gunshot. I cannot say where it's from, but it's from a distance.
But
I know what a gunshot sounds like.
that's what you interpret to be a gunshot. You know, it's at night. It sounds strange at night, especially 3 o'clock in the morning or thereabout. You
Yep.
hear sounds, and in your mind, and I'm not saying you're lying, in your mind, you hear gunshots. And that's why I'm testing. Why would you be an expert to say those were definitely gunshots and not another sound resembling a gunshot? That would be a hard boom, 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 not that.
Milady, I've heard gunshots before.
How many
100%. Various times in my life.
In that neighborhood?
No, we live in an extremely safe neighborhood.
When last have you heard gunshots? Before that
the
evening.
14th February 2013.
Before that evening, as you say. Before that?
Milady, I can't testify about the date that I heard the last time gunshots. The fact is, I'm sure, especially South Africans, most people in the court would be able to say whether they hear a gunshot when it's a gunshot. It's very clear.
Well, I'm not sure if that's true because Mr. Nell will present the evidence of other witnesses saying they hear the noise but they're not sure if they're gunshots. It may or may not be.
Milady,
They're not that sure.
Milady, for me it's very sure. Also, I'd like to state to the court that my bedroom windows were open because it was a very hot evening towards the bathroom of Mr. Pistorius' house. So what I heard very clearly would be sounds travelling from the bathroom. I would not always be able to hear if people are moving around in the house. The other witnesses' houses are on different places in the estate. So even the sounds may change. The shouts, the screams we hear, it's different. And even the time when we wake up, maybe it's different.
Have you ever heard a cricket bat hitting a door?
Milady, I've never heard a cricket bat hitting a door. I've heard someone kicking a door, but never a cricket bat.
Have you any idea what it would sound like 3 o'clock in the morning from the inside of a house when you hit a door very hard with a cricket bat?
Milady, I live 177 meters away, over 170 meters away. Whether I can hear that or not, I don't know. Shots, definitely. I've got no doubt. I heard shots, gunshots fall. I did not hear a cricket bat hitting a door. Maybe I was in the bathroom at that stage. I cannot say why I did not hear it. I can only testify that I did not hear it. Why, I don't know.
I'm trying to understand on your version why we would have that scenario other than the one that I put to you, that it was the same person screaming. Why would I have that evening or that early morning, would I have a woman screaming out and a man screaming out?
Milady, that question, I think the only person that can maybe answer that will be Mr. Pistorius himself.
But it is really strange. I mean, one version is the one was attacking the one and then the other one was attacking the other one, or someone else was attacking. I don't know, because it does not make sense that both of them would scream help. You agree with that?
Milady, I cannot interpret certain things. I wasn't there. I can only say what I heard. I can only present to the court one piece of the jigsaw puzzle, what I heard. The other evidence that will be given will form the rest of the puzzle. I can only say what I heard. I cannot interpret someone else's meaning.
What you're really saying, because let's look where you come from. You come from an attitude, to put it that way, that you, when you heard Mr. Pistorius' version at the bail application, it was not true. You immediately decided it cannot be. Not so?
The lady, as I stated earlier, there's a missing link, and that's the female that shouted.
But what did you hear about the bail application?
I was riding in the car on my way to Mpumalanga, and I heard the hearing proceedings on the radio. And that's when I discovered that they spoke about a witness 600 meters away. And also I heard that it was stated emphatically that there was only one person that shouted that evening. But I very clearly heard two people, a male and a female, shouting.
So you decided if he says that Riva was not screaming, that he's lying. It cannot be, he's lying.
Well, Milady,
Not so.
Milady, if he says there was no one else screaming, then I can't understand it. It has to be explained, because I definitely clearly heard that.
It's not only you cannot understand it. In your view, it cannot be.
Well, I cannot see how it could be unless he was somewhere else and he did not hear it, but it does not make sense to what I heard.
But in your view, if it cannot be, he cannot be telling the truth. It cannot be what he's saying, in your view.
Milady, I'm not going to judge him. He'll have time to come and explain it if he comes to explain it. He can explain it.
Now,
I don't know how, I cannot see how it's possible not to hear, because I heard her 170 meters away,
you heard?
a woman scream.
Yes. What you believe was a woman screaming. Now, you've never heard the sound of a cricket bat hitting a door.
Milady, I've never heard a cricket bat hitting a door.
Yeah. But notwithstanding, you're confident to say those were gunshots, not cricket bat noises.
Milady, I'm 100% convinced I heard gunshots that evening.
Yes, and your only experience with gunshots was once at a driving range, and other times when you hear gunshots and you interpret them to be gunshots. You don't see the person firing.
Milady,
To you, that's gunshots.
I was at a driving range once where I shot on my own. I did, when I was much younger, go with someone else that also shot once. So that was the second occasion when I was younger. And then I've heard shots in the neighborhood before. But, milady, really, I do know what a gunshot sounds like.
Now,
It's very clear.
now let's test your hearing. That night, the only thing you heard, according to you, that was a man's voice, was once a man shouting, "Help, help, help," 3 times.
That's correct, milady, just after the female shouted.
You see, I'm looking at neighbors staying close by, in the close proximity of the accused house. There's a Mr. Bareng Mochwane. He heard someone crying, sounded like a man crying. Could you hear that?
Milady, I did not hear a man crying. It could have possibly been after the shot. Before, I do not know. I did not hear a man crying. If it was somewhere else in the bathroom, I did not hear that. I don't know. I only heard the shouts, the screaming.
Yes, there's Erika Mochwane, also very close by, close proximity. She heard a man's voice crying like a cry of pain. Did you hear that?
Milady, if someone was crying, I would not hear it 170 meters away. I would hear gunshots because it's loud. I would hear screaming because it's loud, but I won't hear cries or talking. I'm too far away.
There's a man right next to number 287, Bushwiller. Okay, if he's telling the truth. Mr. Michael Getwa, saying he heard a man crying very loud. The crying was really loud and continuous, also crying, "No, please." Did you hear that?
Milady, as I understand, that person's testimony was, he was quite close to in the estate. I did not hear that. I was 170 meters away. I did not hear crying.
There's Hillary in Getwa. She heard the man crying very loudly. You did not hear that?
Milady, I did not hear any crying.
Now, you see what my difficulty is. Then the other witnesses that the state did not take statements from, so leave them out. They're not part of the state's case. But what we have various witnesses far closer to the house and some not as close, hearing a man crying loudly. That's the one thing that you did not hear.
Lady, I confirm I did
Yes.
not hear crying, and I did not hear the cricket bat.
We're talking about loud crying, not just crying, loud crying. You did not hear.
Lady, as I stated before, I'm 170 meters away. It has to be very, very loud for me to hear it.
You did not hear because you should have been awake, would have been awake. You did not hear a cricket bat hitting the door so hard that it breaks the door.
Lady, as I stated before, I can only testify on what I've heard.
My lady, may I just object? It was now put to the witness, you did not hear it as if it did happen and she could have heard it. It wasn't said. She answered this question, my lady. It's umpteenth time. She did not hear the cricket bat against the door. We should move on, lady. She's answered this question. I haven't kept count, but I can remember at least 5 times. And one should really move on.
Mr. Roux?
Part concerns me, my lady. The objection starts off by saying, as if it happened, that I put to him, there was hitting with the cricket bat as if it happened. And I'm not sure if that's the state's version, because we put it that it was indeed so. It's part of the state's analysis.
If the court allows me, I'll explain what I meant.
You'll rephrase.
I'll do.
Yes.
Lady, as if it happened so loudly that she should have heard it. That's what I meant. If I didn't express myself correctly, I apologize.
Thank you.
That's what we put to the witness, my lady. We can disagree. We put it to the witness, and that is why we put to the witness that, and I ask and I say, could there have been gunshots before you woke up? And their answer is no. Now, maybe she can hear well when she's sleeping too.
Well, she's explains it in terms of distance.
Yes, my lady.
She says, I did not hear it.
Yes.
I was 177 meters away.
And we say, what we say, my lady, and that's what I'm going to put to her. What she really heard, she heard the cricket bat, my lady. The gunshots had taken place.
Yes, you can put it to the
Thank you,
witness.
my lady. You see, and that's why I was trying to understand now how it was possible that if you could hear so well the gunshots, that your husband heard more shots than you. Where was he at the time of the shooting?
My husband was on the balcony when the shots took place.
So he was
Like-
outside on the balcony when you heard the shots.
Yes, that's correct.
Would you say he was in a better position to hear than you? Outside on the balcony than you inside the house or not? I don't know.
Lady, I can't explain how good or how bad my husband hears, but the gunshots were loud. I heard them very clearly, so I suppose he could also hear them clearly.
I'm trying to understand, because initially you said he also heard 4 shots, but I think you corrected yourself. Is that right?
Yes, my husband said he heard a lot of shots. It could have been 4 or 5 or 6. It was a lot. For me, it's very clear. I started with music very young. I hear rhythm automatically. There was no doubt for me. I heard 4 shots.
4. Now, when you spoke to your husband the next day, later that day, not the next day, he asked you if you could remember. What was that all about? Could you tell the court?
Milady, we thought it was a housebreak. So my husband phoned me to ask me, how did I remember what happened? Can I remember? So I said, yes, clearly I can remember. And then he asked me to repeat why. how the events went. And so I repeated that to him because we were both shocked to hear that Mr. Pistorius, that it was stated that he thought there was someone that broke in, because that did not rhyme with what both me and my husband heard. We were shocked. We thought it was a housebreak. But I'm sure my husband will be able to explain his actions when he testifies.
Yeah.
I can't say what he was thinking.
But did he asked you if you could remember?
Yes.
And then you gave him the whole version that you remember?
Yes. And then he said to me, you won't believe, but I just heard at the office, it's in the news that Mr. Oscar Pistorius shot and killed his girlfriend, and it was stated that he thought there was someone that wanted to burgle them, that wanted to break in.
In your mind then,
Yeah.
what's then ingrained in your mind is that, what happened? Mr. Pistorius shot his girlfriend.
Milady,
That's what I heard. He shot his girlfriend.
Okay, can you just repeat your question?
That's then when he told you that, in your mind you put one and one together and you say, Mr. Pistorius shot his girlfriend. Is that your understanding?
Milady, when I heard that, it was shock first because I couldn't understand how that version of what was said in the media, he thought there was someone trying to break in, did not make sense with what I heard, because the fear in that woman's voice, you only feel like that if your life is threatened. That woman, I never doubted her life was threatened. So it didn't make sense to me. I was shocked to hear that.
You initially thought it was a housebreaking.
Yes.
And you thought that after hearing both of them screaming.
Him calling for help, her calling for help, and her terrifying screams.
Yeah. But
And the gunshots.
that's what but when you heard him screaming, you also thought it was a housebreaking.
When I heard him call for help,
screaming.
I heard him call for help.
Yes, you still thought it was a housebreak.
Yes, I definitely thought it was a housebreak.
It didn't sound to you that someone is not really anxious and as if he's just screaming to make a noise and to pretend to cry for help. It was something that you associated with two people in trouble.
I heard two people, so I definitely thought I knew there's a man and a woman living there.
You associated both screams, according to you now, one coming from the woman, one coming from the man, as being that both of them are anxious, both of them are in trouble. That's what your association.
Well, I thought the man must be trying to call for help.
Yes.
The fear that really startled me was the fear in her voice. She was petrified.
Yes. Now,
That's what stopped me.
how did it work that you spoke about a red arrow pointing out Mr. Pistorius' house? How did that come about?
Well, firstly, I also saw on Sky News and CNN, I saw aerial shots on the television of the house. So I knew where the house was. And also, from a balcony, it's very clear where the house is. And my husband actually saw it on the television, and he said to me, he can't believe it, but I must come and look. Here's our house, there's Mr. Pistorius' house. We never realized we're so close. We didn't know where he lives in Silverwoods. It was unclear to us.
But at the time that evening or early that morning, you did not know that the sound was coming from that house.
I didn't know exactly what house because I wasn't in the house, but I could definitely hear it was from Silverwoods. Due to the layout of the estate, I could say it was Silverwoods.
Could you see if the lights were on of the house, the lights were off?
I was sitting in my bed. I didn't go to the window to look at the lights, and also the house is a distance away. I don't know if I could see a light if I did try to look, but I never looked for any lights.
You had poplar trees in front of your house, between Mr. Pistorius' house and your house.
There's a few thin little trees there. There was a lot of open felt at the time between our house and his house. In recent times they started building there, constructing houses. But at the time there was only one house built, and it was a flat roofed house, one level. So I could actually see Mr. Pistorius' house from my balcony if I wanted to look.
And how did the pointing out come about? Could you tell the court about it?
Well, with our consultation, there was a photo that was shown to me to ask where's my house, and I could see the house, and also which is Mr. Pistorius' house, and I could show that. Also, when we were standing on the balcony, the one photographer, Mr. Benny, I don't know what his surname is, he was there.
Staden, if it rings a
The
bell.
photographer for the police, he was also there, and he was taking pictures from our balcony because he could see the house. And so we were standing with him on the balcony, and then we saw the house with him there, and he was taking pictures. So also confirmation from him that that was the house.
When was that?
That was a couple of weeks after the event.
How long after your statement?
I did not take down the date, but I'm sure.
More or less.
No, I cannot confirm the date. Captain van Aert was also there that day. He'll be able to give the exact date. I can't say what the date was. Captain van Aert will be able to say the exact date.
When did you make your statement to Captain van Aert? Can you remember that?
Also a few weeks after the event took place. Once again, Captain van Aert will be able to give the date.
Do you know Mr. Peter Hall?
He's the developer of Silverstream. I do know him personally.
That you tell him about this event, the screaming and so on?
I did speak to him afterwards about what we heard because my husband phoned him that morning, milady. My husband phoned him to try and find out what happened in Silver Woods because we thought it was housebreak. And so he phoned Mr. Peter Hall, and I think also someone that does construction there that we know well, Mr. Willem Vos.
Now, if you think back, how many times did you hear the woman scream that night?
Milady, I didn't count the screams. I didn't go
More or
1,
less.
2, 3. Yeah, I didn't count the screams. There was the screaming when I woke up. There was the screaming when my husband was on the balcony. We made the call. Then there was the screaming moments before the shots. The shots followed, and I heard a voice again. I did not count the screams.
So it seems, but if you say you didn't count, it seems there was about on 3 occasions that you heard the screaming.
I
Am I
heard the
wrong?
screaming when I woke up.
Yes.
I heard the screaming when my husband was on the balcony. I heard the screaming after the telephone call. I heard screaming with the shots and slightly afterwards, moments afterwards. I did not count them.
Now, if you take, my lady would just bear with me, I'm just finding the place. When you go to the, I'm sorry, I've just turned my page, I apologize for that. I want to come back to this one aspect, but maybe I didn't follow your answer about Mr. Hall. What did you say? Why did Mr. Hall come to your house?
Milady, I never said Mr. Hall came to my house.
Did he not come to your house? Did he not come for a quote?
Milady, I don't know where this question's coming from.
Did Mr. Hall not come to your house to give you a quote on security?
Mr. Peter Hall,
Yes.
he never came to me. I never asked him to come to me to give me a quote.
If you don't know it, or he didn't come to your house, or you don't know it, then you can just say so. So you don't know that Mr. Hall came to your house.
What quote for what?
For security.
For
To
security.
improve the security. Can you remember that?
I never asked Mr. Hall to give me a quote for
Do you know if your husband asked him?
What security are we speaking about? I don't know anything about it.
Well, if you don't know about it, then you don't know about it.
Yes, my lady, I didn't ask Mr. Hall to give me quotes for security and things like that. Mr. Hall's a developer.
I don't want to be unfair to the interpreter. That's why I want to come back to a point that's really important to me. And that's the dear mekaar, the confused, that you were confused. or it was a confusing night. Can you just explain that?
Milady, as I stated, that wasn't a night, evening as every other evening. When you go and sleep, you don't think you're going to wake up just after 3 hearing these petrifying screams and hearing gunshots. It's a abnormal evening. It's not something that would be. So what I tried to convey to the court is it's a deurmekaar. It wasn't an evening like any other evening. There were gunshots, there was screaming. I was awake, then I slept again. That's what I meant.
It also seems that after the event you have difficulty in remember all the steps taken. It was as if you can't remember exactly what happened and what did not happen after the shots.
Milady, my testimony is about what I heard up until just after the shots. That's what I heard. I heard her terrifying screaming. I heard him calling for help.
Is your memory vivid after the shots?
Well, there's nothing that I can mention that I heard that's relevant to this case that I know of. So, just after the shots, her shouting died down, and that was the last I heard. So I can't say what happened 2 minutes afterwards. I can't say what happened an hour afterwards. I don't know.
Lady, would it be an opportune time? I need to go to some of the statements.
Yes. What's your time? What's the time? I just need to put
It's
that
about 10 to 4, my lady.
10 to 4. Yes. Tomorrow we're starting at... Site. No one has objected. Starting at 9:30.
Is it 9:30 tomorrow, my lady?
9:30.
Thank you, my lady.
Thank you.
Emila, staan in jou writing form te bewaar?
Yes, I know.
Secretary of State for his statement, and I now have the honor of inviting His Excellency Mr. Bogdan Benko, Secretary of State for Foreign